I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock on the dot p.m. This is the regular meeting of the Kaneland Board of Education. We would like to inform all board member attendees that this meeting is being live streamed and archived for access at any time by our community members on the internet within 24 to 48 hours of the meeting's conclusion. Now, if you could please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a roll call, please.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Kleisner.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
Dr. Lawler.
Here.
Mr. Mankowski.
Here.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons.
Here.
We have a full house. Awesome. Thank you all. All right, with 7 members present, we have a quorum. Is there anything the board would like to move from consent agenda to new business? No? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0. It is now time for the board and superintendent salutes, and I will turn it over to Dr. Layden.
Yes, thank you. Always proud to share this salute. The last few years that we've been able to expand and create a new opportunity for several of our students. First of all, we have several district administrators, board members, staff members that help at Elburn Days throughout the whole Elburn Days weekend. So first of all, thanks to all of our adult staff members that help, community members. It truly takes the a village of the community to help make Elburn Days a success. And then also I'd like to just take an extra second now to have Mrs. Eggleston, our Director of Special Services, if she would come up to the microphone and share. We have a great tradition that in concert with the Elburn Lions Club, we've kind of shifted and expanded over the last few years. And without taking any more away from Mrs. Eggleston and the Lions Club with what you're about to share, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Eggleston and you can give us an update.
So I want to start and confess to you that I am one lucky duck, number 423, to have had the ability to work close with our Elburn community, specifically our Elburn Lions. So at this time, I would ask Joe Krzyzak to join me as our guest, one of our guests this evening. And I do want to, on behalf of the Kaneland community, we want to honor Joe Krzyzak on behalf of the Elburn Lions. We have been very, very fortunate to partner with the Elburn Lions on behalf of the special needs wristband session that has been going on for how many years, Joe? Okay, so, and I've been able to work closely with him, and there has been numerous staff members that have helped us during those Saturdays, and we just had one on the 19th, and we had approximately 200 guests join us, along with partnering with the Hope class that is at Kaneland High School. And so we had a lot of students come and help during this time as well. So with that, I do want to thank Joe and the Elburn Lions, because I know we have another guest this evening, but I would like to, in honor of what you've done for us, the Elburn Lions Club, in recognition of ongoing partnership and support, because this is not ending today. Celebrate students with special needs and their families during the 2023 Elburn Days. So, and it was the most beautiful day, and I'll let Joe speak on behalf of the Lions.
Well, thank you. I asked Phil Glad, who is our park board president, just to come along. The park board really is running Elburn Days. And he is, so, at any rate, I think it's important for the board to know the thinking behind the club. And it was, I want to just tell you a little bit about the first Elburn Days meeting that I went to after COVID. And during COVID, our carnival people, Skinner Amusements, I don't think they had one single event during COVID. And I don't think we, being the Elburn Lions, did either. And yet we had to pay taxes. I mean, we've got a 27-acre park that we own. We have to pay insurance. Grass needs to be cut. Trees need to be trimmed. You know, utilities have to be paid. So when I went to the meeting, I said, well, I'm not so sure that Skinner can afford to give us free rides for the special needs. And I'm not so sure that we, being the Elburn Lions, can continue to give unlimited sodas, chips, hot dogs, and you don't want hamburgers, Grandpa, you want tacos in a bag. And perhaps, maybe I should think about getting a sponsor, and that was in my talking. The Elburn Lions Club says, Joe, we are not going to change anything. If there's anything that's going to stay the same, it's going to be the Special Needs Carnival. Do what you need to do. And it's important for you to understand the priorities of the Elburn Lions and what they're all about. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you for the ongoing partnership. We appreciate that. That was all I had for tonight, for salutes.
All right. Dr. Fuchs, did you have anything? Okay. So then at this point, we will move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda contains the following action items. Approval of accounts payable and payroll, August 2023. Approval of minutes of the August 14th, 2023 regular meeting. Approval of personnel. And the following informational items. New teacher hire report. Summer school and jumpstart report. Freedom of Information Act FOIA report. And field trip notification. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. So, now time for public comments. Looks like we have one person signed up so far. So, let's see. I'll just, pretty much give you the high level. It's not an opportunity for us to debate or engage in conversation with you guys, but we're here to listen. When you go up to the microphone, please state your name and village of residence or association with the district for the record. Try and limit the comments to 3 minutes or less, so that everyone has an opportunity. And this is going to be a maximum of 30 minutes with no more than 20 minutes total length spent on an individual subject. So we have Monica Hubble up first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Monica Hubble. I live in Sugar Grove. I've been here for 18 years. I know a lot of you. I actually voted for a lot of you to be on the board. Oh, darn. I was going to say the last time I was here was probably 4 years ago, talking about a crushing facility. And then again, 10 years ago when we cut all the school librarians and then we cut the after school late bus from the high school. My daughter's been out for 2 years, but it was nice to meet somebody coming in that's got a first grader that's engaged and wants to come to school board meetings to see what's going on. I'd like to thank everybody that does give up their time, the board members. I appreciate those that I ran into at the Jewel or at a band concert and have had conversations with. I've run a Girl Scout troop for 10 years here. I've been on Sugar Grove Corn Boil. We did have a special needs PTO one day at the carnival there, I remember years ago. But why I'm here is, as you know, I think we alluded to it a little bit last time. I only listen to all of the school board meetings when I'm at home grading papers. I'm a teacher. So we had mentioned about getting the school resource officer for the IGA, and somebody had mentioned, yeah, with all that other stuff going on. And I think that other stuff you're referring to, I think we have somebody that's in construction, a teacher on the board, is the Route 47 and 88 warehouses that are supposedly coming up, right? I'm assuming the Village of Sugar Grove has talked to Dr. Leeden and has had conversations. I'm not sure. I will be emailing later to find out a little bit more about what's been going on as far as what you know, which I'm sure you've just been listening to what's going on in the community, hopefully. I do want to bring up the concern that the school improvement referendum did not pass. And now Crown and the Village of Sugar Grove are trying to push a $127 million TIF through. And I don't know how that's going to help our schools. My kids aren't in this school district anymore, but I care about all my young neighbors and other people that are coming through this school. I like this town. I want people to move to Sugar Grove and Elburn and the 7 other towns that encompass Kaneland. I don't know how a TIF is going to help our schools and the students in our district. How will adding less funding and more students be beneficial to District 302? I also want to address the potential impact of the increased traffic and truck traffic in the area and how concerning that is for the health and the safety of students traveling to and from school on the same roads. My daughter had a few near misses, and that's even before more trucks are on Route 47 or Kesslinger or Harder, because a lot of them like to take that as well out to Kaneland. I urge the board to consider the negative impacts this will have on an already struggling district for years to come. Maybe you don't think you have a voice in this, but your neighbors hear you. Your neighbors are listening to what you're saying, and we want to know how you're feeling about this as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to take this opportunity to come up and speak? Okay, well, thank you for your comments. Okay, the only item of new business tonight is the report on the opening of the 2023-2024 school year. And Dr. Layden.
Yes, thank you. We have typically in the past, we've taken this opportunity to share highlights. We've done it in a couple different formats where I've read a lot of the highlights from administrators. I know we've had various administrators come up and share and read through it. But part of the thing we wanted to do was make this a little bit more of a existing document and share it more regularly. So with our new Director of Communications, David Chavez, he took some time to put this together. A number of people have forwarded information to him, pictures to him from the first couple days. So without sharing everything that David is going to do with this and where he's all going to share it and how we're going to communicate it, I'll let Mr. Chavez, our Director of Communications, talk through a little bit of that and talk through next steps, and then eventually hit play and you can watch the Welcome Back to School video.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your time. Yes, as Dr. Layden was mentioning there, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who contributed to the content of the video. We had many staff members, administrators, and even students contribute. Special thanks to Katie, who also contributed to the video. And I'd like to get any last-minute feedback on this video tonight, because we would like to start getting it out to the public starting tomorrow. Social media, KCN, the website, and any other ways that we can share it, such as the YouTube channel as well. So without further ado, we can go ahead and get the video started, and hopefully everybody enjoys it.
Good morning, Kaneland. Dr. Todd Layden here. Glad to see you. Welcome back to another wonderful school year here at Kaneland School District. I feel I'm lucky to be in the school district for two primary reasons. Number one, the people. We have the best people in the county, the best people in the state, and then secondly, pride. We have such pride in our schools, pride in the work that we do. So I'm lucky, and I'm very lucky to be in the Kaneland School District. Have a great school year.
My name is Katie, and I'm a history student. So I want to start off by saying congratulations to our freshmen and sophomores for getting to their first week of school. Juniors, good luck on what is known to be your most challenging year of school, and seniors, let's hold off on that senioritis until at least second semester. If you're interested in getting involved, be sure to check out this. And then if you're excited for this, just know there are plenty more good things throughout the school year. Thank you, and good night.
It is with great excitement that we are to mark the very first day of student attendance. In Kaneland, we have been envisioning the creation of a dynamic and tailored learning environment for students since 2015, and we have actively been planning for this day to open this academy for the past 3 years. How's everybody? Are you ready for a new school year? Yes, we are.
All right, hope everybody enjoyed that video. Just wanted to encourage everybody to check out the new communications webpage that was shown towards the beginning of the video there. That is where anybody can contact me to leave any questions, comments, concerns about communications so we can get feedback and improve. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Well done.
Clap for that one.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Is there any questions that the board would like to ask at this time? Any discussion? Pretty self-explanatory. Sounds like everything went up well. All right. Well, that concludes new business for tonight. We'll move on to the superintendent reports. And Dr. Layden.
Yes, I have, thank you. I have several updates. Some that are just updates, and others that will lead to likely new business items at next meeting or future meetings. First of all, last Thursday, we had our first CAC meeting of the year. If you recall, we have 5 CAC meetings a year. It's a generated agenda in which our members and any attendees talk through various topics. One of the things we always talk through at the beginning of the year is feedback to start the school year. So we just received really good feedback as far as the 6 new members on CAC. So we're up to almost 20 members again, which is a nice number. Still taking new members. If anybody was interested, they can always contact me and we'll have new members on CAC. Also, we talked a little bit about communication, which I'll let Mr. Gonzalez share that update in a second. But one of the other topics that we had, the Kaneland Foundation Executive Director Becky Greenlee was there, and she kind of talked through what the Kaneland Foundation is, what the Kaneland Foundation does, how it operates alongside our regular PTOs, PTNs, and PTAs. So it's not directly targeting any one school, but it's district-wide in nature. And again, she has a website, or on our website, there's a link to that, and also a Facebook account. So if you want to learn more about the foundation, their fundraiser, and how they give back, primarily the dollars raised, about 80% of them go back to teacher grants that teachers apply for that directly impact students with materials and supplies for teachers in their classrooms. Our next meeting, as we talked, we will have, the next meeting is in October. It will be here at Harder, because I know our CAC members have appreciated meeting at Harder so they can do a tour. Several of our members only have elementary age students, and this will be the first time for some of them to go into Harder Middle School and be able to have a tour. And then our January meeting is likely going to be hosted at KMAC, so they can see the Fox Valley Career Center and some of the offerings from the Career Center. A couple topics that the group shared interest into the future. We do have a standards-based grading topic that will be in October, and we also have a Kaneland safety update on several topics. So Dr. Fuchs will be able to share a little more about district safety, and then there'll also be the academic update with standards-based grading being one of those at CAC. And then also, like I just mentioned, the two. And I know that we talked a little bit about Director of Communications and communications in general. Mr. Chavez was there, but Mr. Gonzalez, if you want to provide any updates, other feedback as our board member. I do have to apologize to Mr. Kleisner. Mr. Kleisner was supposed to attend that day, but when we sent the email back out letting the CAC members know that we were on for that night, we neglected to send it to the board members. So I apologize if you were planning on attending, but that won't happen again. I apologize. Mr. Gonzalez.
No, I thought it was a productive meeting. It was nice to see a large group of people, positive discussion from throughout the district. So it was nice to be able to engage. I approached it from a parent's perspective more than a board member's perspective, and I found it to be very useful, particularly Mr. Chavez's presentation regarding the different portals and avenues we have online to communicate with the district and receive communication from the district. So, you know, the virtual backpack, all the stuff that's available that I wasn't aware of, even being, you know, a board member. I found it to be very productive. So I'm hoping they'll take that information back and, you know, provide it with other members of the community. Becky did a really good job of explaining the foundation, how it operates from, you know, how our foundation operates from a different, I don't want to say traditional, but, you know, different foundation. And also really opening up the door for opportunities for people to get involved or encourage members of the community to get involved with the foundation. So overall, it was good. It was, you know, positive. It was good feedback, and I enjoyed it. I'll probably try and attend as much as my wife allows.
Good. Well, thank you. And as we reach each of those subsequent meetings, we do have that committee sign-up list, so I'll always do a reminder of which of our board members have signed up, whether it's CAC, FAC, or FPC. We'll make sure we communicate that so that we have appropriate representation at each of those meetings. Next thing I wanted to share, if you recall from last Thursday, just a brief update on the emergency day that we utilized. Two things with that. Primarily, number one, as an emergency day, we have built into the school calendar. As you see the calendar, there's always the 5 emergency days built in. That day will be added to the end of the school year, which is, I believe it's Friday, it's that last Friday in May, 24th. It's Friday 24th is the last day that will be added. And also another, which will end up being another topic for our board. Last year, our Board of Education did approve an e-learning plan that we could utilize in emergencies with enough forewarning and notice to students to take their devices home and teachers to prep for it. We will bring a plan back to our Board of Education with a recommended e-learning plan. It's a little different now because during COVID, those plans based for the emergency declaration, districts could just create a plan and implement it almost overnight if they needed to, where now with the emergency declaration gone, there are certain steps we need to follow with a public notice, a public posting, board approval, taking to the board, communication with our groups, our work groups, our unionized groups, and support staff members. We do have to have conversations with them. So you will see, I think it's the second meeting in September, we'll be bringing back a recommended plan, talk through that plan and what that looks like. And again, it does require board action. So as that plan goes out, if you have questions, make sure you let us know. And Dr. Mum and Mr. Raleigh will be here to talk through the education side of it, and I can always provide the legal updates also. So that's the emergency day. And again, the biggest rationale there, as our students, our bus drivers are on the bus for as long as 2.5 hours. Temperature, heat indicating temperatures, we took on the bus from the front of the bus to the back of the bus were anywhere from 106 to 116 degrees. And some of our bus drivers are on there for 2.5 hours. And as we just looked at the health and welfare and safety of bus drivers and our students, who may have 40 minutes each way, at that point, while it wasn't ideal in the timing of the year or the time of the year, it was, at that point, we just deemed it necessary to do that. So again, we'll continue to communicate that. You'll hear more about other opportunities and plans moving forward. Real simple one, next Monday, Labor Day, there's no school. That's a much easier one. Then following that next week, we do have our Hall of Fame committee meeting, and Board Member Mankivsky, you're still that representative. That's next Wednesday in the district office starting at 7 o'clock. That agenda item, or that agenda for that meeting will follow in a couple days. The next thing we wanted to share, in advance of our September 11th meeting, we are going to communicate our updated working knowledge on the Crown Industries plan out at Route 88 and 47. As you have probably seen and heard, there's a great deal of communication. There's information that we want to be able to share with our board, and we can also talk with our board. In previous years, Crown has also indicated to our Board of Education and through us information about a proposed project. Heartland Recycling, about 3 or 4 years, also came to the board to present a proposed project, and in both of those instances, our Board of Education had some conversation on it, had some dialogue. So we just want to make sure that the information that we do have, we can bring back to our board, and our board can have discussion and talk through that process, what that will look like. We don't need any action tonight. There's no action to be taken right now. We will bring that again September 11th, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting. Also at that meeting, probably appreciate a 9-minute video, because there's going to be another conversation that's going to be a little longer. Our referendum update, E.O. Sullivan was our board vendor that we used to communicate from the board side, not the vote yes side, but the board side. They're going to be coming also on September 11th, and they're going to give an update on their findings, an update on possible next steps, update on a timeline that the board can learn more about, maybe consider, look at projects. But as we went to referendum this past April, that was probably about a 3 or 4 or 5 board meeting sessions that led up to that. So again, on the 11th, there's really no information that you need to do in advance other than reading the board packet, that information, but a lot of that will be the board discussion here. And again, the only action on that night might be legal action on representation, if the board wants representation during that process. That would be advisable at that time, and we'll also have our legal law firm here to share some information about representation. The next thing was, nope, those were my updates. That was all that I had for the superintendent and board report, again, which a couple are leading to agenda items for the next meeting.
Dr. Fuchs.
I just wanted to report, tonight, prior to this meeting, we hosted our first of 2 joint parent leadership group meetings. So what we ask is that one leader from all of the PTOs, sports boosters, performing arts, students with special needs PTO, Kaneland Foundation, basically all of our fundraising groups, that they join the administration for a meeting twice a year. And tonight was that meeting before this meeting. The meeting went very well. All of the groups had representation, as well as all of our building administrators had representation. It gave everybody an opportunity to learn more about each other's groups, as well as what kind of fundraisers will be taking place throughout the year. We also talked about safety guidelines using our buildings after hours, and talked about Kaneland Connects and the Personalized Learning Academy and fundraising guidelines. So as well as learned about all of the events that will be taking place. So it was very productive.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Oh, Katie, forgive me.
Good evening. I would just like to reiterate what Dr. Layden said, as this week hopefully is Kaneland students' first full week of school, as we got to experience our first heat day this past Thursday. Something about that was my friends from other districts were a little jealous of that. And then also due to the uncomfortably hot weather, PE class was canceled for most of the week. And then because the past Thursday was one of the 2 school picture days at the high school, there will be another school picture day on Monday, September 18th. And then picture retakes will still be on that Tuesday, November 14th from 9:15 to 1:30. And then actually tomorrow, Tuesday, August 29th, KHS will have its open house at 5:30 p.m. And then as a student who regularly helps out at the open house, it is a great way for students to get involved and see what extracurriculars Kaneland has to offer. For sports updates, Kaneland sadly lost their first football game of the season, with Washington beating Kaneland 33-27. Their next game is Friday, September 1st at Wakanda. And then as for boys golf, they did well and got 4th place out of 12 teams at the Kishwaukee Country Club. And then their team score was a total of 321, with senior Brad Frank and placing 9th and senior Zach Ramos placing 10th. Recently, boys soccer fell to Neuqua Valley 3-1, but won against Auburn 9-0. Also, varsity volleyball went 2-3 at the Wheaton North tournament. And for upcoming dates, the KHS Marching Band has their first competition of the season at Stagg High School September 9th. Thank you, that is all.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I believe that KHS open house starts tomorrow at 5:30.
Is that an
high
opportunity
school.
for us to show up if we'd like to go see what's available?
If board members like to tour, show up at the high school. They also have a number of the clubs and activities set up for students to also walk around and just see what clubs are represented. Staff members typically are in their classroom, so if there's questions that you have for staff or teachers, that is a great opportunity to see the building and also see the clubs and activities that are offered.
Great. Thank you. Alrighty, on to topics, future agendas. Mr. Mankiski.
I have a couple. One, I'd like to see where we're at as far as the transition fair for special ed students. Trades night for careers in the trades to be introduced, or students to explore and introduce there. I would like to see one additional night, probably in conjunction with the FFA and some of the others. I've had some discussions with some of the nurseries around here, the plant nurseries and some of the horticulture, and they are aware of Fox Valley Career Center's work with horticulture, but to have an ag night to acknowledge that, as well as students be able to explore careers, further education, and resources that are available, both local jobs as well as continuing on in education, agriculture-wise. Last thing, standards-based grading. I think we need to kind of conduct a sunset review. We've had it for how many years now?
It's been part of the strategic plan about 4 years, either 4 or 5 years now. It's been the implementation phase.
Okay, we need to see how it's affecting student performance and some of the concerns, and almost like a sunset review. This would be about when programs, at other levels of government would be subject to a sunset review. So let's take a look, get the public input, get teacher input, student input, and go from there. But so it's the transition fair for special ed, trades night or trades fair for students, not just here, but other students who choose to attend. And then the last one, like an ag night, ag careers, I will touch base with the FFA advisor here, and see what we can do to move that along.
Standards-based grading topic, we do, when I met with Dr. Mullen and Mr. Raleigh today, I'm not sure if it's the second meeting in September or first meeting in October. I think it's the first meeting in October. We have an academic update plan for our Board of Education, so that our Board of Education hears that first, and then we'll follow up, take it to CAC on October 26th. So we have that plan to bring to the board with the update of currently where it's at, what it looks like, some of the data pieces that you asked for.
To kind of piggyback on that, I've had a few chats and kind of welcome the idea of maybe potentially going and visiting different schools. Kind of not so much auditing, but as board members, getting to go visit the elementary schools, middle school, high school during operating hours, talk to some teachers, talk to some students, hang out with the principals for a little bit, just to get a lay of the land. It was a good conversation I had the other day with one of the principals, and they welcomed the idea of getting the board more involved into the actual schools, which I was kind of shocked to hear that, but I think that's a great opportunity too, and to kind of piggyback on some of the ideas of understanding where standards-based grading are from a teacher perspective, student, and then the admin working with it as well. So it's, I think, something they can go kind of hand in hand.
And typically on those topics, since Board Member Mankivsky has touched on the trades night before, we don't need an official straw poll on that because the board has already touched base on it, so we know that's the process. And the standards-based grading, we don't need a straw poll on that either because we had already talked about and planned for that coming to the board. So I know that's typically part of this process, but I just wanted to remind the board that process.
Yeah, the only thing new, transition, we have already done our straw poll. Transition night, it would be ag, like an ag night, acknowledging agricultural programs and careers for students who want to participate. So I guess we have.
Yeah, straw poll on that because that is new. And again, I can't tell you definitively what they do and if they have one or what they do have, but we can look into that if that's the board's.
Yeah.
As long as there's 4. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
What about Ryan's idea? Do we need a straw poll for that?
Do we?
I mean, I don't know that it's an actual working idea at this point, which is the conversation we're having, but I think it'd be good for, a future topic, and especially if we're talking about standards-based grading, to kind of get a deeper understanding from not just what's reported here, what we talk about in the CAC, but maybe get into the schools during, school hours to understand how that's going. I don't know if we need a straw poll for that.
Or is there a way we can do like a schedule, obviously work with the principals and say, hey, obviously we can't be there, only like 2 of us at a time, but
Yeah.
maybe not sign up genius, but something where, and I don't know if you look at that.
That's something, first of all, four board members interested, at least 4.
Yeah.
Okay, then what I can do is, excuse me, I can have that conversation with principals, see what that might look like, what timelines might look like, opportunities, those things. I know all your schedules are fixed and varied at times too, but I can bring back more information.
I also want to kind of preface this too, when we're talking to the principal, it's not like we're not trying to audit, how they're operating, how they're running the school, all these other things. It's just more of a kind of get to know your school board, and just for us to get to know the schools a little bit better, get to know different personnel better, not in the audit sense in that way. So.
And just to add on to that, like my kids have already graduated. So I've been through the elementary, middle, and high school, but some of you guys have not, and so, yeah, if you've never even walked into the middle school or the high school to even just have that experience. So I think it's good. And then again, my kids have been out for a couple of years to go back and, principal that was, John Stewart is no longer that principal, and so to kind of see some of the things that are new. So I like the idea, just to be present enough to see, hey, what the schools look like, what's going on, and so we can speak to it too.
Well, it'd be nice for us as board members. I know me personally, I feel like I'm not as connected with, like, say, McDowell. I was actually going to reach out to you at some point because I feel like that's a segment of the population that I'm the most disconnected with.
Right,
Because,
sure.
we just live so far apart.
Vice versa. Right,
So
yeah.
maybe if we had the opportunity to, because my daughter goes to John Stewart, I try and show up to the events, but, maybe get into Sugar Grove if we're, just give us the opportunity to expand and be made available to the entire district. I feel like I want to connect with communities outside of my local, because we, we do all we can here, in Elburn, but beyond that, that's what was nice about CAC. So just to piggyback, I don't mean to.
And to be respectful of their schedules. Like you said, you're trying to be respectful to ours, but the principals are busy, and we don't want to just land on them on a day that we have no clue that might be the busiest time for them. It might be a crazy week for them, and for us to just say, hey, email them and say, hey, can we come? They're going to say yes to us, and so we need to be very respectful to that. So, and that you would help us to be able to navigate that too. So,
Yeah, we'd be very mindful to build that in appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have two, which one I don't think is a topic, but first of all, we touched on it a few weeks ago, but having Elburn Countryside Fire and medical as a primary responder for the high school. I've been reached out to by the representatives of Elburn Countryside, and they're more than willing. I'd like to see what we have to do, get the discussion going sooner rather than later, on seeing what we have to do to make that transition happen, or if it's something that the board is in support of, at least get together and have a discussion on it and see what our options are proceeding. So.
Yep, and sure. And that one we foresee as sometimes the topics for future agenda end up just morph into some information that I can share or an opportunity I can share. But this one is one that is probably more ideal to be a board agenda item. So it is something that we will work on and bring back to the board with just information historically, possible next steps, what it looks like, why we are where we currently are in that process. So at least that way the board's informed. And then if the board chooses to take action moving forward or wants to give us direction to do something different, the board can let us know what that looks like. So that will be something we'll bring back.
And then the second one, which is not a topic, but I was approached by the Duquesne Abate organization, which is a motorcycle advocacy group, safety and awareness. And they offered to come into the high school, which they've done at other schools in both counties, DuPage and Kane County, but teach our young student drivers a little more about motorcycle awareness and just awareness in general. So I feel like it's an opportunity, especially with the incident that recently occurred. It's an opportunity for us to get these young students, made aware. There's a lot of motorcyclists in our district, and so it's an opportunity. So however I can help to make that transition happen, I just want to make sure the board was aware that something that's going on. So,
and we have as I'm sure you're well aware, and maybe even remember, in driver education, there is a portion in a unit on safety of all types of safety, whether it's personnel, pedestrian, motorcycle. We have that in driver ed. So what we would do is if that person, you have that contact, have them contact myself and Dr. Horn, and I can put them in Dr. Horn at the high school, because the high school is where all of our drivers are student-wise, and we have just the one building at the high school.
Perfect.
And the career center. So we have them contact myself and Dr. Horn, and we can work through that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else? All right, is there anyone signed up for second session of public comment? No? Would anyone like to take this opportunity to fill that hole? Okay, well, at this point, the Board of Education is scheduled for a closed session where there will be no action taken following the session. Therefore, after the vote to go into closed session, the recording of tonight's meeting will be concluded. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss 5 ILCS 120/2C1 at 7:49 p.m.
So moved. Second.
And a roll call, please.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mr. Fleisner.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCully.
Aye. 7-0. It is now.
Yep, we're going to
Yeah.
transition